Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday evening. I hope you're having a good one wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you as always for joining me. You are joining me just after Mikel Arteta, well, I say just after, a little bit after Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of the game against Brighton in the Carabao Cup tomorrow night. Some big team news updates from him. Couple of players definitely out, couple of players who might have been doubts for the game apparently definitely in. So we're going to go over that, go over the big talking points from the press conference ahead of that game against Brighton tomorrow. Before I do that, though, just for anyone watching, if you even can watch at the moment or listen at the moment in Jamaica, given everything that's going on there with Hurricane Melissa that has just basically made landfall there. I'm sure if you're watching anywhere else around the world, you'd have seen about this huge mammoth Category 5 hurricane that is hitting Jamaica. And I know I've got lots and lots of people who watch and follow the show from Jamaica. So just to you all, if you are managing to see this or hear this, then just thinking of you all. I hope you get through it okay, and the island escapes, everything, the worst that could be, because it looks like an absolutely mammoth storm. So please do stay safe, yourselves, your family, your friends, everyone. We're all thinking of you wherever we are around the world at the moment. So stay safe, everyone in Jamaica. Okay, let's talk about the press conference then that Mikel Arteta has had just a short while ago at London and Colney ahead of the game against Brighton tomorrow. Some team news updates for him. Of course, we lost a lot of players in the game against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Declan Rice going off, William Saliba going off at half-time, Gabriel Martinelli limping off after the full-time whistle, Bukayo Saka, all that sort of stuff. So there was lots and lots of team news updates from him. We'll start with the players who are definitely going to be missing tomorrow, and that is William Saliba and Gabriel Martinelli. On Saliba, Mikel just said he's out. When he was asked, how long, how bad is it? He said, no, we don't know yet. We're assessing him, but he won't be involved in this match. On Gabriel Martinelli, who finished the game against Palace, but sort of limped off down the tunnel. Mikel said after the game that they were a bit worried about that because it was he felt something. And as I said in this morning show with James Benge on Extra Time, of all the injuries that Arsenal got at the weekend, Martinelli was the one that, from what I understood, was the one that they were most concerned about. Mikel just says, yeah, it looks as well that he's going to be out. We have to, again, do some more tests and see the extent of the injury, but this game is going to be too early for him. So no Martinelli and no Saliba. In slightly better injury news, on Declan Rice, who of course went down in the second half against Crystal Palace and had to come off, Mikel just said he'll be available, which is good news. And on Bukayo Saka, who was ill in the build-up to the Crystal Palace game, played, 60 minutes, whatever it was, but didn't look himself at all and was replaced in the second half. Mikel said that they sort of withdrew him because they could see that fatigue was kicking in. They didn't want him doing any sort of further damage, but Mikel just says, yes, he is going to be fine. So Saka and Rice, okay. Saliba and Martinelli, not okay. And that Martinelli obviously joins quite a long list, growing list of forwards at the moment. It includes obviously Jesus, Madueke, Kai Havertz, who aren't available. And that is going to kind of impact what Mikel is going to be able to do. He did speak about that in a press conference today, the sort of struggles at the moment of trying to manage the load of everyone, especially those attacking players where there's not much room to rotate. There's plenty of room at defence to rotate, but up front, because of the injuries that Arsenal have in those positions, even though they've got this big squad with lots of options, the one area where it's really hitting them is up front, and Martinelli's latest injury is not going to help with that. So he was asked about Victor Gyökeres and not really being able to rotate Gyökeres since he signed, because of course Kai Havertz injured himself on the opening day of the season in that game against Manchester United. We haven't seen him yet. He's getting closer to return, but we haven't seen him yet. And Noni Madueke has been out for a fair while as well. So on Gyökeres, he says that's where we have more difficulties as well, with Noni Madueke out, with Kai out, with Gabby Jesus out, and now with Gabby Martinelli out as well. That's the area where we have to be more careful, more conscious, because there we don't have that many options. So as I said, we're going to try and manage the load as good as possible to make sure that the players are fresh, they can compete really well, and that the team can maintain the level that it's shown. I think the Martinelli one, fingers crossed it's not bad. I mean, we haven't got an indication yet from Mikel, about the sort of true extent of this Martinelli injury. I mean, he says at the moment that they don't know. I'm sure they've got a much clearer indication than we have in terms of how long he potentially could be out for. For Martinelli, first of all, it'll be a real shame if it's anything sort of significant and he's going to be out for, I don't know, weeks until the next international break. That's going to be a blow to him because he's playing really well. He'll be feeling really good about himself. He'll be in a really confident move. And for Arsenal, it's exactly the same because they've got a confident player who's impacting game, affecting games the way we've wanted Gabriel Martinelli to be impacting games. And to suddenly lose him when he's in form like this, it'll be really, really disappointing for him, especially at a time when Madueke's out as well. And it's certainly going to increase the load basically on Leandro Trossard because he's the only left winger option that Arsenal have right now. You could move Eze over to the left-hand side, I suppose, and bring someone into the more central areas. Fingers crossed Martin Odegaard and Madueke will be back soon, and that's going to certainly help with Arsenal in that regard. But you imagine Leandro Trossard's probably going to have to play on the left-hand side tomorrow against Brighton. Ben White was another topic of discussion in the press conference. It's been a frustrating season, obviously, so far for Ben White after what was a decent summer, decent pre-season campaign. More injuries have disrupted the start of this season. He is now fit, obviously. We haven't seen too much of him. I imagine he'll start tomorrow. He's certainly going to be in my predicted 11 for this game. I'll be very, very surprised if he doesn't start. Jurgen Timber's been unbelievable so far this season, but he needs to rest. And you feel like this is a game that Ben White's definitely going to be starting. Mikel was asked about White and the season he's had so far and the difficulties he's faced. He said, look, he had a setback at the start of the season that hasn't helped him. I think in pre-season, he was probably our best player. I think he played every game and he was in great form and we needed it because when Ben is at that level, he's a top player for us, a player that drives the team in a different way, gives us a different threat on that flank as well. And we need him at his best. And it will just be fantastic for Arsenal, for Ben White, for Jurgen Timber as well, to have a fully fit Ben White that we can use, rotate, spread the load, share the minutes down that right-hand side with Jurgen Timber will be a massive, massive boost. He's such a good player, Ben White. And it's been such a shame what's happened to him the last sort of season and a half, really. Fingers crossed he can now. He's back to fitness. He can have a good game tomorrow and can continue to contribute for a while. So that's what you had to say on Ben White. Another player we're probably going to see tomorrow, I'll be surprised if we don't see, is Piero Hincapie. And Mikel was asked about him. He was asked about, obviously we saw a little brief bit of him at the weekend against Crystal Palace. That was his first Premier League minutes. These will be his first League Cup minutes tomorrow. Mikel was asked about him and his position. We saw him at left back against Palace. Are we going to see him at centre back going forward or in the future? Is at which position is going to be his best? And Mikel said both. I think he's a warrior. He's going to bring such intensity, physicality and emotion to the team. His quality on the ball is a player that can be super keen. He can play inside. He can play in the wide position. He's done it, as you said, in different ways. Now we need to get him up to speed because the moment that physically he's at his best, he's going to raise the level. I know Arsenal are very, very excited about Pierre Hincapie. I mean, Mikel said it at the time. He's a player that's been on the sort of agenda at Arsenal for a fairly long time. This wasn't a just out of the blue type signing. It was someone they've tracked for a while. They waited for their opportunity to get him. They've got him. It's been really frustrating that he's been injured basically since he's arrived, but now he's fit. I know there's a lot of excitement at Arsenal about what Pierre Hincapie could bring. I still think left back is the position we're going to see him used the most. I would imagine tomorrow, however, we're probably going to see him at centre-back alongside Christian Mosquera. Then you can have Ben White at right-back. You can have Miles Lewis-Skelly at left-back. But if Calafiori's fit, which Mikel says he is, maybe you play Calafiori at left-back and then you can move Miles Lewis-Skelly into midfield tomorrow. So there are options for Mikel. It does look like the options are more limited up front than they are in defence. But those are the team news updates from Mikel ahead of the game tomorrow. He spoke about Ethan Nwaneri. I mean, I'll do the preview show in the morning. Obviously, we'll do the predicted 11, that sort of thing. Give me the 11s you want to see, by the way, down in the comments below. I'll pull some of them together and get them included in the preview show tomorrow. But he spoke about Ethan Nwaneri and the minutes that maybe he hasn't had this season compared to last season and whether he can still play out wide. So he spoke about that. You'll find the full transcript on arsenal.com. He spoke a lot. Obviously, he was asked about set pieces and how people are turning their noses up at Arsenal and set pieces and the outside narrative and what's being said in the media about the title being theirs to lose, all those sort of stuff. So there was comments on that, more about Ben White and potentially going to linking up with England again. He was asked about the Carabao Cup and we spoke about this on Inside Arsenal Extra Time today with me and James Bench, disagreed slightly on the importance of the Carabao Cup and what sort of importance Arsenal and Mikel Arteta should be putting in this competition. I, for one, think that Arsenal should be, obviously without taking stupid risks when it comes to players and fitness. I absolutely think this is a competition they should be trying to win. James Bench had other ideas, and plenty of you in the comments had other ideas as well. You'd be quite happy for this to go out of this competition. But Mikel was saying, where does it rank, the Carabao Cup, in importance, in the priority list? And he said it's the most important one today because it's the game that we have tomorrow. It's a competition we haven't won for many, many years, and it has to start tomorrow. We have to do a great game in order to beat a very good Brighton side. We know that. We are prepared for that, and we have to show it on the pitch. He spoke quite warmly about Danny Welbeck in the press conference as well. So there's lots for you to catch up on. If you haven't read it yet or you haven't seen it yet, you can find it on arsenal.com, the full transcript of the press conference. There'll be more to come later on tonight in the embargoed section. Those quotes will go live at 10:30 p.m. Remember, I'll be back in the morning to do the preview show. As I said, anything you want me to discuss in that show, if you want me to discuss your potential 11s, the starting 11s you want to see, get down into the comments, leave me those 11s, and I'll pull them together as always and get them included in the show. And if you haven't seen Inside Arsenal Extra Time yet with James Benj, then you can find that down below in the videos or in the podcast section, however it is you're consuming this content, as we did the Inside Arsenal Extra Time show earlier this morning. That's it from me, everyone. Thanks for watching. Just a short update from me. Speak to you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.